So we're going to start with threading the bobbin, and on this particular machine the bobbin that I'm going to use is a plastic one, and that's because this machine is designed to work with plastic bobbins, and I try wherever possible to use Janome bobbins to go with my Janome machine, and I would recommend that you kind of look in the manual for yours. So you might have a metal bobbin for yours, that looks a bit different to this one with little holes in, or a slightly different version of this that's got ridges or whatever. So try and get the bobbin that's right for your machine. So you'll notice on this bobbin, I'll bring it a bit closer to the camera, there's a little hole in the top and the bottom edge of the bobbin, and we're going to use that to be able to capture the thread as we wind it onto the bobbin. So I've got some nice pink thread here so that you can see it. So the first thing we're going to do is unravel the first part of our thread, and then I'm going to put it on my spindle at the back. It doesn't really matter which way on that goes, so I'm just going to stick that on there. And then in this case the spindle is horizontal, but on some machines you might have a pin that goes up here, and so you're just going to place your thread onto there. So I'm going to take my thread, and then I'm going to put the end of the thread through the little hole in the top of the bobbin. So just as you can see there, so I've just kind of threaded it through the little hole, and I'm just going to keep hold of that while I do the next step. So I'm going to place the bobbin on this little kind of nodule here, and you'll hear it kind of click on, and then I'm going to wrap the thread around this little spindle at the top, and what this does is just balance the thread so that as it's moving around it just keeps it steady and stops it jiggling around. And the last thing I'm going to do is push this spindle back towards the right hand side. On some machines, after you've done that, what you also need to do is maybe pull out the handle to disengage the needle moving up and down, but on this one it should do it automatically just by moving this, and you'll see that it's changed to SP here, and then as I clip that across, it means that the needle won't move up and down as I move the foot. Okay, so I'm just going to wind the bobbin, start it off slowly, and then I can let go of that top thread and just wind that. And on this machine you can change the speed of the bobbin as well, so I can go faster or slower. So once you're happy that you've got your bobbin wound, then you can take this off. And I'm just going to use the thread cutter on the back here, and I've just cut the thread. So I've got my bobbin wound here, and I would normally cut this thread a little bit as well, so it doesn't get caught up. Okay, so we're just going to lay that to one side for the moment. So the next thing we're going to do is take our thread, and we're going to follow the numbers that are on the machine. So generally, most machines work in the same way, in that you take the thread from the spindle, and then you come round, down the front, up and down in an N shape, and then down and through the needle. Okay, so that's fairly common on all machines. Even though this bit may look slightly different, it will have that kind of similar shape. And on most machines, as you'll see here, we've got some indicators. So we've got little arrows and numbers on top of the machine, and then also on the front of the machine here. And so all we're going to do is follow those numbers. So we take our thread, and I'm just going to kind of hold it as I clip it through the back, this back arrow here. Then I'm going to bring it down the front, and then down to number 2, catch it under there, and then bring it up to number 3, which is on the top here. And then I'm going to go on the right hand side behind this little kind of alien head at the top, and then bring it back on the left hand side so that it catches in the loop in the top of this hook on the top here. Then I'm going to bring it back down the front, and I'm just going to use my finger to push the thread behind this guide that is here, and you might have something similar on your machine. So there'll be a guide just before the needle, and then there'll be a guide just next to where the needle is fitted. Okay, so I'm going to do to the right hand side of that where the needle is, so you'll see that there's another little catch there, and then I'm going to thread my needle from front to back just like that. Okay, once I'm done with that, I can just push it through the foot, and I'm just going to leave that there for the moment. So the last thing I'm going to do is thread my bobbin, and on some machines you have to take off this casing here and you thread the bobbin from the front, but on this machine, it goes in from the top. Okay, so I'm just going to take this plate off just by sliding the catch to the right hand side. And then I'm going to take my bobbin. Now, generally on most machines, bobbin goes from, if you hold it in your right hand, the thread should come over the top and to the left, okay? And so you're going to hold it in your right hand, and then the thread's going to come over the top and down to the left. And then if you hold that thread in your left hand, then you're going to place the bobbin, you're just going to twist your hand slightly and just lay that into the casing. Or if you've got a metal casing, then you can just push this into the metal casing. And then I'm going to lay that in, and I'm going to put my finger on the top of it, and I'm just going to bring the thread round to the 6 o'clock point, so directly towards me. And there's a slight gap here in the machine where you can see the thread. And then I'm going to slide that thread just under that gap and round towards the 9 o'clock position. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I want to bring my thread from this bottom kind of area through the thread plate to the top. So I'm going to hold my my top thread in my left hand, and I'm just going to turn the hand wheel towards me through one rotation. One complete rotation. You'll see as I start to kind of put this under a bit of tension, that pops up and our thread comes through. And so now I'm all ready, put my case back on, and we're done.